Obviously, it's very complicated for a garden to have plants that can withstand such extreme variations. Climate change, as we've seen in recent years, forces us to deal with major fluctuations from year to year and season to season very high temperatures, periods of drought with little rain, or sometimes the opposite. Episodes of heavy rainfall. In my opinion, it's better to prepare, to get the garden ready to withstand a lack of water by choosing plants that can survive periods when the soil is drier, rather than doing the opposite, planting species that tolerate overly wet soils, but will obviously be unable to survive dry spells. It's easier to drain a garden, to prepare it with landscaping so it can get rid of excess water, than the opposite, in my opinion. All the more so because the range of plants that can withstand a lack of water is much broader and more diverse than those that can tolerate excess water. If you prepare your garden to be more well drained, so that when it rains, the water is evacuated as quickly as possible and retained less by the soil, obviously, this will intensify the effects of drought in the summer. So it might seem paradoxical, because one could quite reasonably think that, on the contrary, you should try to make your soil retain water so it can serve as a reservoir for the plants. Of course, you can't completely eliminate this process either, especially if you're dealing with a vegetable garden. You still want to have soil that retains a bit of water, but soil can retain water while still being sufficiently well drained. Adding organic matter and increasing the humus content, so that's something that can be important for part of the garden. For the rest of the garden, we'll generally aim for a very well-drained side. But at the same time, you have to choose plants whose morphology gives them the ability to withstand long dry periods, when the availability of water in the soil is obviously very limited. There is a selection of plants, let's say from rather semi-desert climates, that not only have real ornamental qualities, but are also able to withstand dry soils during periods when you might go 3 months without seeing a drop of rain. The higher the temperature rises, the more evaporation there is, both from the soil and from the plants themselves as they transpire. So we try to protect the soil from evaporation first. The soil must be covered. We protect it from the impact of the sun, the temperature, and the effect of the wind, which is another drying factor. We try to create shade. All of this will help limit the drying out of the soil. These plants, naturally, will actually restrict their water consumption. They block their transpiration through various mechanisms. Water consumption will decrease in relation to the temperature. Very sandy or very stony soils are naturally well drained. And on the other extreme, there are very clay soils, and when it rains, the water no longer penetrates, it's completely saturated. Next, the shape of the garden, whether it's flat or slope terrain, will inevitably drain water much more quickly, because the water runs down. When you have flat ground, or even worse, a dip, you have to keep in mind that in a dip, water will stay. The ways to take action involve shaping the terrain. If your land doesn't have mounds or flat areas, you can create them. You can make raised beds. The dips will become pathways or unplanted areas. You can also shape your land by building small stone walls. You can make terraces, create raised areas, and all of this will help with drainage. Having trees in your garden, having large shrubs, are plants that will develop root systems, which will help soak up excess water in the garden and create shade. Changing the nature of the soil is much more complicated. You can add draining materials like gravel, at least sometimes when planting, to make it easier for plants to take root and to try to remove excess water when it rains.